Today we are going to create a landscape artwork that shows a habitat, a certain habitat where animals will live. So you all will choose the habitat that you want to create for your artwork, and you can use the reference images that I have put onto canvas. And you will start by drawing that landscape, that environment. So I have here a book that has some images. So I would open up here and I can look at some examples of what I might see in a savanna grassland. So I'm gonna see flat land, some grasses, and some trees. So I'm gonna start by doing my horizon line where the earth and the sky meet each other. So I'm going to choose where I want that. If I go a little higher, it gives me more room to put my animals. If I go a little lower, it gives me less room for my animals and more sky. I'm gonna go a little bit higher on this one. I'm gonna go maybe about here. And then it's flat there, but I still could have, other levels in the background, a little bit, not much, but maybe just a little bit. Okay. Now, if I want to put in grasses in the front, and I can add more details with color later, but maybe in my foreground, I see some of these, grasses taller in the front. And that's something I could also add later after I put some animals in there. Maybe animals are hiding behind that grass. And then I could have a tree kind of coming big in the foreground, like it's in close to me, and then one in the distance. So I might come off the side of the page, kind of create that trunk, create these branches that are going to kind of go twisty like this. They kind of go out wide. And then just a little something to show this, the top of this tree. And I can add a lot of details when I add my color. I'm just trying to get my drawing in there first. I'm erasing where my tree is overlapping that horizon line. And then maybe I put one farther in the background here. So this is going to be smaller because we're creating that illusion of depth. We're showing that the objects in the foreground are closer to us and they appear larger because they're closer to us, and the objects in the background appear smaller because they're farther away. Again, just kind of trying to get a basic drawing in there, and I can add much more details later. Okay, erasing where it crosses over that horizon line. You know what, I don't want it to get so wide at the base. I'm gonna keep it a little bit narrow, a little bit more narrow at the base. And then I can put in some grasses at the bottom there. So let's say I'm pleased with this, right? Just for my main background. Now I can start moving on to my animals. So if I were to draw, let's say that I wanted to draw a giraffe, okay? So a giraffe in the distance would appear smaller, and a giraffe in the foreground would appear larger. So if I put one farther back, I'm gonna have it going above, crossing over that horizon line, and I'm going to kind of create that, but I still don't want it to be too large back there. So just kind of creating basic shape here. And again, I can add much more detail later. Okay, so this is just a start, just a start. And I would erase where it crosses over that horizon line, okay? So it's kind of, you know, farther in the distance, as tall as that tree back there. And then I could create and draw another animal that might be close into the foreground that's larger. Or what if I did just a part of an animal? I could do part of an elephant coming in here, very large, right in the front. So I'm gonna take some time, I'm gonna draw my animals, add my color, and I'll come back here to discuss the choices that I made. Here is my finished savanna grassland habitat landscape. So as you can see, where I left off was, I think I had drawn, you know, started to draw a giraffe, and I went and added in more animals. So I have a giraffe farther away that we see the whole giraffe. And then if you look over here, I have a larger giraffe kind of poking its head into the side of the artwork. I have a larger elephant in the foreground and a smaller elephant back towards the horizon line in the background. I have several different trees to show, one closer, one a little bit farther, and one even farther away. I drew the grasses to be kind of big in the front with some rocks and a bird, and then just did little patches of grass throughout. I used colored pencil to color my entire artwork, and then I did take a little bit of watercolor for my sky, and I actually even put a little yellow watercolor over top of my grasses. Now, almost everything you see on here that has colored pencil is layered with more than one color. I do find that when you layer your colored pencils, you know, you just get some richer colors, possibly more realistic. It adds a little bit of dimension and richness to your artwork. So even on this elephant, I did a gray, but I did a little bit of brown in there. Or in my tree, I did some yellows, greens, and browns. My sun is mostly orange, but then I did a layer of yellow on top. It definitely adds to your artwork when you can layer your colors to kind of build up those layers. Well, I think that's about all. I am pleased with my savanna grassland, and I'm excited I could do another one. I think these habitats are pretty fun, and I think they're a great opportunity to show our art knowledge of the illusion of space.